Welcome to part 14 of Descent into Madness. This is May the 13th, 2023, 3:41 a.m. Gonna jump on back into this. Yes, I realize some of this has nothing to do with the persecution, but it is about pestilence and things like that and extreme weather. And it has to do with the seals that's opening. It has to do with Matthew 24. Some of the things that Matthew 24 spoke about. So, getting on back into this footage.
Breaking overnight, we have reports of at least 10 tornadoes in Oklahoma. Severe storms hammered the middle part of the country from Colorado to Arkansas, but the area around Oklahoma City had the worst damage by far. Roxana Saberi is in Noble, Oklahoma. That's south of Oklahoma City.
This is the main drag here in Noble, Oklahoma. The tornado ripped the roof off this convenience store, tossed some debris onto the house behind it, and into the drive-thru at the Donut Palace. The National Weather Service says a team will be out here this morning to survey the damage.
On the ground, on the ground, on the ground, on the ground.
This video shows a tornado on the ground last night in Goldsby, Oklahoma, hitting the town just south of Oklahoma City. It was one of at least 10 tornadoes to strike the state Thursday.
It's getting stronger.
And in an area known as Tornado Alley, it's a sight to see. These folks pulling over to take a look.
It is still on the ground.
To the west, in the town of Cole, this twister spun up debris as it moved along a highway.
Hey, there's a bigger debris cloud.
Once the storm passed, crews started cleaning up downed trees and debris. The powerful winds peeled back siding and ripped the roofs off these homes and businesses. In the aftermath, neighbors were helping neighbors.
You can see everyone out in the street wanting to help and make sure that everybody is okay and asking if they can do anything for anyone.
4 other tornadoes hit 3 states yesterday, including this one in Kansas. And in Conway, Arkansas, drenching downpours coupled with strong winds sent a monstrous 600-year-old oak tree crashing into this home. The rain was so intense in East Texas, this college soccer field was inundated, and several roads in the area were impassable.
It was a chaotic evening along the I-35 corridor here in central Oklahoma. Tornadoes ripping across this area, doing damage to this town. You can see utility crews are on site here now, trying to restore power, at least the homes that can accept it. This one cannot. At least half of it badly damaged. The father of that family telling me they survived by getting in the closet of their home.
This week, NOAA scientists announced that much of the western U.S. is no longer under extreme drought conditions, but the record amounts of snow and rain this winter is not without consequences.
California's Central Valley produces a...
I told you all this stuff was coming. That there would be places where there would be no more land because the water would be there. So much so there'd be no place to stand. Y'all didn't want to believe the Lord.
Quarter of the nation's food, but a brutal winter, a parade of violent storms scientists linked to climate change had...
And for the record, I didn't make these floods to happen. That was God. You know, Jesus, I had nothing to do with it. Just like I didn't have nothing to do with bringing the Georgia Guidestones down. That was the hand of God, too. I was just obedient to the Lord, and I went and done what I was told. Now, y'all better get it together and get this stuff situated in your minds. Because guess what time it is? It's time to go!
has led to this. Acre after acre, more than 150,000 in all, swamped. For so many crops, a total loss.
It's gonna hurt. It's a lot of money.
And the last 2 covenant videos from the covenant of the Lord are coming up. It's very important that those videos go up soon, and they will be going up very soon.
Nader Malikan is a pistachio farmer. 99% of the nation's supply is grown here.
What's the value on that pain?
15 million probably right here.
15 million?
Yeah, that we've lost. on 1,200 acres.
The estimated damage from the floods, $1 billion so far. Remarkably, an even greater danger awaits. Tulare Lake, which was drained a century ago and didn't even exist a few months ago, has returned with a vengeance. Perched just outside Corcoran, it looks like an ocean. And in the mountains above, one of California's largest snowpacks on record is starting to melt. Forecasters say rising temperatures in the coming weeks could prove catastrophic.
You kind of get an overwhelming sense of doom in a way. How do you stop this?
With a lot of dirt, says farmer Brandon Goodhart at Lakeshore Dairy.
You are looking at what we've come to call the Great Wall of Stratford, and we got 15 feet of dirt piled up.
FEMA agents are on the ground assisting, but farmers say they are footing the bill to reinforce and add on to a nearly 15-mile-long levee so it can hold back the rising tide. There's nowhere safe enough.
This is where we house the milk cows.
Or large enough to move his barn of cows.
Is it possible where we're standing right now could be flooded out?
Yes.
Kings County Supervisor Doug Verboond says crews will finish the levee before the next major melt, but there's no guarantee it will hold.
Yeah, Mother Nature's in control. We're just, trying to put our finger in the dike as we go.
Tonight, all hands are on deck, while their hearts are sinking.
We're a family farm. The family's been doing this for generations, and I'd hate to be the one that's at the wheel and we lose it all.
If water is the source of life, here in L'Espluga de Francolí, the lack of water has become a way of life. It hasn't rained here in months, and the Francolí River is completely dry. For centuries, it had allowed the village to thrive. Catalonia is facing the most severe drought in living memory, and water scarcity is an ever-growing problem as the summer season approaches.
We must understand that water is more important than gas, because without water, there's no possible life for humans.
More than 400 municipalities face water restrictions. Alternatives help alleviate the problem. Across Catalonia, people are praying for rain, but for now, their prayers go unanswered.
An aerial view of the Kalehe region in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo shows the extent of the destruction caused by last week's landslide. Homes, schools, and markets were swept away. Hundreds of people were killed. Thousands are missing. A major road connecting South and North Kivu provinces was cut off. Volunteers like Amani Mulenga are trying to clear.
This is not global warming. This is not climate change. This is the Lord saying, wake up, my children.
That I thought to bring upon it. And the instant I speak concerning a nation and concerning a kingdom, to build and to plant it, if it does evil in my sight so that it does not obey my voice, then I will relent concerning the good with which I said I would benefit it. In the news these days, we read
If you don't turn from your wicked ways, he's not going to relent. He's going to bring about his wrath.
about and see devastating events, each more unusual, destructive, and unprecedented than the last. They are happening more frequently and more intensely, just as the Bible said would happen just before the return of Jesus Christ. It seems as though God has lifted his hand of protection in the United States, and not just the U.S., but the world as well. These devastating events are not accidents, nor are they merely the natural cycle of things. The world is enduring events that are designed to bring about the end of days and cause us to repent. God is lifting his hand of protection from the nations of the world. No, things will never get back to normal. They will only get worse. As the birth pains continue to become more frequent and more intense, one has to wonder, how close are we to the rapture and the 7-year tribulation? John 15:18 through 20. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you're not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you.
I've been waiting for this one because I think I might even be.
Now we're getting back into the persecution.
be more stunned than Billy is on this one. Billy, you have essentially been warned by Facebook that they're going to ban you over hate speech. You got to fill everybody in on what the story is. What did you write that has Facebook calling you and threatening you over hate speech?
So this is bizarre. I log on to Facebook, I'm on my phone, and I thought this must be a mistake. I get this pop-up. It's on my phone, it was also on my desktop, and it said, your post goes against our community standards on hate speech. And I'm like, what in the world did I post? And so I look, and there is a message from April 2nd. So this is old now, it's well over a month. And here's what I wrote. I wrote, Jesus died so you could live.
Certainly as Christians, we're not to go out of our way to offend anyone personally. But the truth is that Christianity itself is offensive, as we read in 2 Peter 2, 7 and 8, 1 Peter 2, 7 and 8. So the honor is for you who believe. But for those who do not believe, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone, and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense. They stumble because they disobey the word, as they were destined to do.
They informed me that nobody else could see the post anymore at that moment, that they have standards because they want everyone to, quote, feel safe, respected, and welcome. And then it says, if your content goes against our community standards again, your account may be restricted or disabled. And then it says you can disagree with the decision if you think we got it wrong. So, of course, I disagreed with the decision. Right. I mean, and I went through their process, and I put in a grievance, whatever you call it,
Yep,
and
A plea to the robots over at Facebook.
well, I thought, okay, a human is gonna review it. It's like when you put an ad together and on Facebook, anybody who's ever done an ad, they approve it. What ended up happening was I get a message a couple hours later and it says, we have removed your post from Facebook. So now it's no longer just absent from people's feed. It's been removed. And it says, we are unable to show content that goes against our community standards on hate speech. It says your appeal was reviewed and your post does not follow our community standards on hate speech. So
wow.
Facebook or the machine or the robot, either this is a horrible mistake or Facebook doubled down.
I don't know how their whole system works, but if it's been reviewed, I would presume that means it's been looked at by an actual human with eyeballs who's looked at it and said and read it and still has decided that for whatever reason your post is inflammatory or dangerous or a threat to people. Which, I mean, you can't get a more that's just like the most watered down, basic and concise presentation of the gospel, and then Facebook is deciding to ban a sentence that essentially portrays the gospel.
Definitely doesn't seem to make any sense, but again, just another indication of what it is we're up against, because you don't see these quote-unquote mistakes happening the other way around very often. So hopefully you remained unbanned on Facebook, Billy.
Matthew 5, 10 through 12. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Watch, stand fast in the faith, be brave, be strong. Jesus, speaking to his disciples about the signs of his coming and the end of the age, declares this in Matthew 24:12. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. The Bible tells us lawlessness is the violation of God's commandments, as we read in 1 John 3:4. Whoever commits sin also commits lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. Sin will be so rampant and so commonplace in the last days that the love people once had for one another, for many, will be non-existent. In this prophecy, Jesus Christ is describing an ongoing breakdown in the relationship with God. And since people's love for God is waning, it will be evident in the way people treat one another as well. A symptom may be that the love toward other people is decreasing.
Exactly. The love toward other people is definitely decreasing. Look around. Iniquity has abounded and the love of many has waxed cold. Look around. Do you not see that the persecution of the church has begun? They take down people's videos and stuff just for trying to share something about the Lord. That's persecution, whether you want to admit it or not. But anyway, I'm going to have to go for now and charge my phone. And I will see you in the next videos as the Lord sees fit. Love you. Sorry. Massive pain just hit me. Love y'all. Please keep me in your prayers.